In every office, in every company, in every industry around the world, there is always one person who never gets fired. You know exactly who I am talking about. That one colleague who has been there longer than anyone can remember. Layoffs happen around them, budgets get cut around them. Entire departments get restructured around them. New management comes in with fresh eyes and a list of changes. And somehow that one person is still sitting at their desk, unbothered, untouched, like they signed a contract nobody else was offered. And the most fascinating part is, they are not always the smartest person in the room. They are not always the hardest working. They are not the ones staying late every night, or sending emails at midnight trying to prove their dedication. But they survive everything, every single time. You have watched this person for years, and if you are being completely honest with yourself right now, you have always quietly wondered what their secret is. Today I am going to tell you exactly what it is, and I need you to stay with me until the end, because the answer is layered, and the further we go, the more uncomfortable it gets. But uncomfortable truths are the only ones worth paying attention to. Before I tell you the secret, let me tell you what the secret is not. Because most people guess wrong when they try to figure out why certain employees are untouchable. It is not about working the hardest. Studies on workplace retention consistently show that the employees who get cut during layoffs are not necessarily the least productive ones. Hard work alone has never been a guarantee of job security. If it were, the most exhausted people in your office would be the safest. And you already know that is not how it works. It is not about being the most talented either. Think about every talented person you have watched get let go over the years. The brilliant analyst who saw problems before anyone else did. The creative team member who brought ideas nobody else could think of. Gone. While someone far less impressive stayed behind. Talent without positioning is just potential that never got protected. And it is definitely not because the company loves them. This is the biggest illusion that corporate employees carry with them for years, sometimes for entire careers. Companies do not love their employees. They never have. They value what employees produce. They value what employees represent to the bottom line. But love is not a corporate calculation. The sooner you understand this, the clearer everything else becomes. So what is the real secret? Let me introduce you to someone. We will call him Daniel. Daniel has been at the same mid-size company for 12 years. In those 12 years, he has watched 4 different CEOs come and go. He survived 3 major layoffs that eliminated nearly 40% of the workforce around him. He went through 2 complete department restructures, where entire teams were dissolved overnight. He watched close friends and talented colleagues pack their desks and walk out the door with cardboard boxes, while he sat quietly at his desk and kept working. His colleagues respect him. His managers trust him. New employees who join the company quickly learn that Daniel is someone worth knowing. And yet, if you asked most people in that office to describe exactly what Daniel does or why he is irreplaceable, they would struggle to give you a clear answer. His value feels real but somehow hard to define, and that is not an accident. I studied people like Daniel for a long time. I looked at what they had in common across different industries, different company sizes, different management styles, and I found a consistent pattern that almost nobody talks about openly. Daniel does not survive because he is exceptional at his job. Daniel survives because he has quietly mastered 3 invisible skills that most employees never even realize are skills in the first place. The first skill is strategic emotional detachment. And I want you to pay close attention here, because this one goes against almost everything your instincts tell you to do in a workplace. Daniel does not get emotionally invested in office politics. He watches them the way a scientist watches an experiment, with curiosity and careful observation, but he never steps inside the experiment himself. When 2 senior managers are in a power conflict, Daniel does not pick a side. He maintains warm and professional relationships with both of them simultaneously. He listens to both. He supports both in small, visible ways, and he commits deeply to neither. To most employees watching from the outside, this looks like weakness. It looks like Daniel has no opinions, no loyalty, no backbone. But what Daniel actually has is something far more valuable in a corporate environment. He has options. When the conflict between those two managers finally resolves, and one of them comes out on top, Daniel is still safe regardless of who wins. He never burned a bridge. He never became a symbol of opposition to either side. Most employees pick sides in workplace conflicts because picking a side feels like belonging. It feels like loyalty. It feels like being part of something, and belonging is a deeply human need. Daniel understands this need in himself, and he has made a conscious choice to satisfy it somewhere other than in office politics. Because he knows that in corporate environments, the price of belonging to one faction is always the risk of being destroyed by the other. The second skill is deliberate invisibility, and this one is so counterintuitive that most people reject it the first time they hear it. Every career book, every LinkedIn post, every performance coach tells you the same thing. Be visible. Speak up. Make sure leadership knows your name and your contributions. Build your personal brand. Get yourself noticed. And in certain contexts, this advice is correct. There are absolutely moments in your career where visibility is essential and powerful. But Daniel has learned something that those career books never teach. There are specific moments in corporate life where the most powerful thing you can do is become strategically difficult to target. And those moments are precisely the ones that determine who stays and who goes. When annual budgets are being reviewed and cuts are being planned, Daniel makes his value feel essential, but hard to quantify. He is not the person whose salary appears as a clean line item that a finance director can circle and eliminate. His contributions are woven into multiple areas. Removing him would create complications that are harder to explain than his cost. When a project fails and leadership is looking to assign blame, Daniel is never the person most associated with the decisions that went wrong. He was involved. He contributed, but he was never the loudest voice pushing for the approach that failed. He gave input quietly and let others take the visible credit, which in failure becomes the visible blame. When new leadership arrives and begins evaluating who adds value and who represents the old regime, Daniel is the first person to make the new leader feel genuinely supported rather than challenged. He does not defend old processes. He does not signal loyalty to the previous management. He makes himself immediately useful to whoever now holds power, and he does it in a way that feels authentic rather than opportunistic. The third skill is information positioning, and this is perhaps the most misunderstood skill of the three, because from the outside it can look like gossip or politics. But what Daniel does is fundamentally different from both. Daniel knows things. He knows which projects are being quietly deprioritized before the official announcement. He knows which teams are being considered for merger. He knows whose position is being evaluated and whose budget has already been mentally cut by leadership. He knows these things not because he is the office gossip, but because people genuinely trust him with information. People trust Daniel because Daniel never weaponizes what he knows. He does not use private information to gain advantage over colleagues. He does not trade secrets or whisper damaging things about people in the wrong ears. When someone tells Daniel something sensitive, it stays with Daniel, and over years of this behavior, people stop filtering what they say around him. They tell him things they would not tell anyone else, and Daniel uses this information in one very specific way. He uses it to position himself correctly before the official announcements happen. By the time leadership calls an all-hands meeting to announce organizational changes, Daniel has already quietly made himself essential to the structure that is about to be put in place. He is never caught off guard. He is never scrambling. He already knows what is coming and he has already moved. Now, here is where I need to stop and be completely honest with you. Because this video has a real cost to it, and I would be doing you a disservice if I presented Daniel's approach as purely inspiring without telling you what it actually takes. The cost of living Daniel's system fully is a certain kind of emotional distance from your work and from the people around you. That distance is not free. There are things Daniel does not have that other employees do. He does not have the deep workplace friendships that come from genuine vulnerability. He does not have the feeling of being fully known by the people he spends most of his waking hours with. He does not have the satisfaction of fighting openly for what he believes is right and letting the consequences fall where they may. Daniel is safe, but safety and fulfillment are not the same thing. And the longer you operate purely in survival mode inside a corporate system, the harder it becomes to remember what you actually wanted from your career in the first place. Some people hear Daniel's story and feel genuinely empowered. They feel like they have been given a map to a territory they have been navigating blindly for years. Others hear it and feel something quieter and heavier, a recognition that the game exists, that it has always existed, and a deeper question about whether they want to keep playing it. Both of those reactions are completely valid, and both of them point toward the same necessary question. What do you actually want from your professional life? Not what you were told to want, not what looks impressive from the outside. What do you genuinely want? Because here is what I know after studying corporate environments for a long time. The employees who thrive long-term, not just survive, but genuinely thrive, are the ones who make a conscious and informed choice about their relationship with the corporate system. Not the ones who stumble through it hoping fairness will eventually find them. You can choose to learn Daniel's system fully and use it deliberately to protect yourself while you build something larger. You can take the ethical and strategic elements of his approach and apply them while maintaining your own sense of purpose and connection. Or you can use everything you learned today as the final confirmation. You needed to start building a professional life outside the corporate structure entirely. None of these paths is wrong. All of them begin with the same thing: seeing the system clearly for what it actually is, not what you were told it was when you first accepted the job offer. The untouchable employee is not a myth. They exist in every company, in every industry, and now you know exactly how they do it. The question that remains is the most important one of all. Now that you know, what are you going to do with it? If this gave you something real to think about today, share it with someone sitting in an office right now, wondering why nothing ever seems to change for them. And subscribe, because what comes next goes even deeper into how these systems work and how to navigate them without losing yourself in the process.